My name is Billy Gauthier, and I'm a carver. Sometimes I say I'm a sculptor. It depends on where I am. But I generally prefer to use the term carver because that's what I was told that I was living up north. I work a lot in stone, antler, ivory, bones. I work in as many materials as I possibly can from the north, from the area that I'm from, and even some areas in the north that are a little far away from me. I'm still fascinated with these because my ancestors, we didn't have borders. We traveled everywhere, wherever we wanted. So even though I live in a certain small little community now, I believe that if I had been born maybe 200 years ago, I would have actually traveled much further. So I feel as though I want to learn about these materials in a similar way that my ancestors did. And I started carving at, I think I was 18 years old in 1996. I always knew I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know what kind of an artist I would be. I realized quite quickly that I didn't enjoy making little models first and then, or maquettes or drawings. I'd rather just work with the material itself. The way I explain this is the material basically speaks to me. I look at the material, I see different shapes, and then the more I work with the material, I also learn what might be beneath. I mean, we never know what's beneath the material for sure, but the more you get familiar with this material, the more you start to make good educated guesses. And as I carve away, sometimes my guess is wrong. And if I have a certain sketch or a maquette, and I feel as though I need to work with the maquette and I need to make it look just like that. But if I don't have that, then I'm not restricted. So instead, I let the material speak. And some people say they can't understand how I can see these images in the material, but the truth is we all do this. We all look at the clouds and we see certain shapes within the clouds, and I do the exact same thing with my sculpture, with these materials. I see these shapes, but the difference between me and the average person looking at the clouds is I'm able to take those clouds, stones, bring them down to me, and then work with them and refine them to make it look even more like whatever it is I think it should be. So sometimes whenever I'm working with these pieces, there could be a fracture within the stone that I don't actually see until I carve into it. And again, if I had a preliminary sketch or a maquette that I was going by, I would be disappointed that it couldn't be what I wanted it to be. But instead, if you start to work with these things, and sometimes like I sculpted a piece one time, I was making a shaman transforming into a bird. I was so excited about this piece. The shaman was coming out just the way I wanted. And when I was fairly close to finishing the bulk of the piece, it split in half, and I was devastated. So I decided I'm going to walk away from this for a moment, even though I felt like destroying the piece, even though it was already partially destroyed. I was so angry, but I knew if I step away, I can maybe rethink this, and this is what I did. I stepped away, I rethought the piece, and then I started working with the piece. It's like a child. Whenever you raise a child, sometimes you might have the idea that you want them to be a doctor or a lawyer or maybe do some special sports. And it's fine to have these hopes for your child, but if you force, often things break, like the relationship. It's the same way with the sculpture. The stone can come in almost any shape. So you can make almost anything with stone as long as you find the right piece. With antlers, it's so limited. Even though every antler is a little different, they're quite similar. But then this forces me to be a little more whimsical. I'll even say a little bit more creative at times. So if I create a piece sort of antler, if I want to make a person, or if I believe it should be a person, I look for 5 points. A head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. So if I can find 5 points on the antler, then I work with this, and it doesn't matter to me that that maybe one arm is long and one arm is short, that the fingers are long on one hand and fat on the other. It doesn't matter as long as visually it looks interesting. It's my duty to make the pieces as beautiful and eye-catching as possible. I think a lot of what inspires my work is the land and the animals. Sometimes I'll talk about my culture, but then I don't know that people necessarily understand what I'm talking about whenever I say my culture, because my culture totally 100% incorporates the land and the animals. Inuit culture, the lands of the north and the animals in the north, they're all together. It's all one. And to me, there is no separation. I eat seal, it becomes my muscles. It rebuilds my eyes when they become damaged, maybe from too much sun. The omega-3s in the fats, they become my brain, and they help it heal whenever I work too hard, become too stressed. So the seal literally becomes a part of me. Well, the seal also is a part of the land and the water, because the foods that it eats are all from this here area. We are all so connected. And I think that often we separate things too much, and we need to learn to engage more with our areas that we live in. We need to fall in love more with our natural environments, because you never protect the things that you don't love. You can't know how to protect things unless you learn about them, and you will never learn about them unless you fall in love with them. So right here, yeah, Ning is an amazing artist, and I love the fact that she produces these beautiful drawings of owls and prints of owls. Ever since I was a little boy, I've loved owls. The very first thing that I was ever given as a gift was a carving of an owl from my father. One of the best experiences in my life that I've ever had on the land was an interaction that I had with the snowy owl. And I can tell that Ning has a connection with the owl in a similar way. So I absolutely love her work. Growing up, I learned a little bit about Michelangelo and his works. I've seen beautiful paintings from so many different cultures. I've seen so many beautiful works from all over the world. There's amazing artists absolutely everywhere. And even if I tried to claim that all my works were purely from the land, I just couldn't do this, because it's not fully true. I live in a modern world, and I get to see beautiful modern art. I get to see arts from all over, and it would be impossible for me to not be inspired by these things. When I'm here in France, it's full of inspiration. It's full of beauty, and I'm learning so many things whenever I see different artworks all over the place here. And it's, even if I tried to not incorporate it into my work, it would work. It would find its way. In a perfect world, I would be in my kayak or on the land, hunting and fishing. And that's where I really gain, most of my knowledge. That's where I feel alive, and that's where I feel more connected to my land and my culture. But I can't just stay there and keep these beautiful things for myself, because then they won't be around for the future, for future generations, especially my daughter and my potential grandchildren. So as much as I'm not interested in a fun way to learn about politics, I need to. It's like being a child and not wanting to make your bed. It's probably still the best way to start the day, so you do it, not just purely for fun, but because it's needed. Every generation almost always feels as though they were the good ones and all the good stuff, is from the past. When it's not true. When we're young, we're always, our minds are so open. We always want to see new, 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 new. It's natural. It's the way we are. And if we weren't like this, our cultures wouldn't have advanced, our humanity wouldn't advance. So it's normal to make all these changes. And I'm not saying that I love everything that the younger generations are doing now, but we need to find common ground. When I go fishing, sometimes I'll take a little fish finder, because sometimes we're unsuccessful. And children these days might not necessarily have as much of a attention span as what I did when I was a kid, because I didn't have the video games. Well, now I can turn this here, and turn it into almost feel like a video game to them. And then they start enjoying, when they pull up that fish and they see it on a little screen, for some reason, it adds to it for them. So that's good enough for me. At least they're engaging with this old practice. Because I guess I gain a lot of pride in the fact that when I carve ivory or stone, I know the material very similarly, in a similar way that my ancestors did. I know how far I can push that material. I know how thin ivory can be carved before it snaps. I know how thin you can carve many stones before they break. I know how to polish them in ways that my ancestors did. And that's that again, like to know things like this, to feel the materials and to learn the materials the way they did, it just automatically makes me feel connected. And I think that if we only work in more of with more technologies, it often does take us a little bit further away from our ancestors. But and I realize nothing lives forever, and this will change. There won't be Inuit forever, just like there won't be anything forever. But I just feel as though it's too soon to lose a lot of these traditions. It's just like every human being is going to die, but you don't want that, someone that you love to die at a young age. You want them. It should be a gradual process as they get older. And I feel as though my culture is too young. So I hope that it can survive much longer.